Can you please say your name and spell it for me?
Yes, Dr. Latressa Gordon.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Flint, Michigan. Born and raised in Flint, Michigan. I grew up on the south side of Flint. I went to Flint Central High School, Whittier High School, Scott Elementary. I actually, at 18, I joined the Army. So I went to the University of Health Science Academy in Fort Sam Houston, Texas. And I became a field medic. And that's where I became a nurse at LPN.
Have any of your family ever had cancer?
Yes, my father, I have a lot of cancer in my family. My father died when I was around 21 from lung cancer and Hodgkin's disease. So that was my first um, close encounter with cancer was when my father died from cancer. And at the year before, I take that back, the year before, his brother died from cancer. My oldest uncle died from cancer. And then a year later, my father died from cancer. And also my father, probably 6 other of his brothers passed away from cancer. I have two cousins. One passed away last year from cancer that lived in Flint. And then his sister also was diagnosed. She's still fighting cancer to this day. And then I had another cousin that was 41 that was in the Army. He died from pancreatic cancer at the age of 40. So I'm well, uh, you know, in contact with someone that has cancer. So it's very devastating to see my father. He was only 47 years old when he passed away.
Do you think there are any clusters or areas of the city where cancer is more prevalent?
Well, like I said, we're working on a study, but as most like we've seen is like mostly on the north, the 48503 areas all the way down might have a higher incidence, but I don't have like the statistics right in front of me. But we haven't seen a higher incidence of cancer like on the north side of Flint, Michigan.
What types of cancer do you see more often?
Okay, we are seeing a lot of breast cancers. We're seeing a lot of stomach cancers. I've got lung cancer, and then also colon cancer is on the rise among these young people. So, and cervical cancer is a big one too. But right now in our community, it's kind of scattered with different types of cancers. But yeah.
Do you see cancer more often in men or women?
Actually, we've been seeing like across the board. Women is more like the breast cancer. I know, like at the hospital I work, local hospital I work at, there's been a lot of incidents of breast cancer in that area. That's out in Grand Blanc, but there's kind of across the board. Like,
Can you tell me what hospital do you work at?
I work currently at Henry Ford, yes, but the job that I work for is Michigan United, where I do public health, grant funded work, public health throughout the community, public and community health nursing.
Do you think that the people having cancer could be related to the water crisis?
You know what? It's very possible, and so that's why we're doing the feasibility study, so we can connect those dots. And in our community, a brown and black community, there's a high incidence of environmental injustices. So of course, those environmental, like the water pollution, the social determinants of health, the water pollution, the water crisis, the factories that we live in, contaminated soil can all contribute to can be carcinogenic or things that cause cancer. But my father, he worked for General Motors, and all his brothers that worked for General Motors, his factory work, pollution, developed some form of cancer. In Flint, they all were from Arkansas. But the ones that live in Arkansas haven't developed cancer, but the ones that moved to Flint all developed cancer.
What is the most challenging part of treating cancer patients?
The challenging part of treating cancer, first of all, is early detection. In our community, a lot of times we're afraid to go to the doctor. I know with my father, he knew he had a lump on his neck, but his brother was going through cancer treatment, so he didn't want to get diagnosed while his brother was dying. So he waited almost a whole year to go get himself checked out, and by the time he got checked out, it was more advanced. So that's one of the most important things is that cancer screening, knowing, I work with American Cancer Society, and we have a screening tool called 360. You scan the barcode and answers all the questions, and it'll tell you what appropriate screenings would be best for you. But partnering with your family care doctor or community health center to get those screenings, and then once, a lot of times people are ashamed of having cancer. I spoke with someone, they said, it's almost having like a the C word is, they call it the C word, and you don't want to tell people that you have it because some people feel that it's an automatic death sentence. But we have come a long way in finding, cures and, what they call palliative treatments to comfort people when they have cancer.
How do you decide which treatment plan is best for a patient?
Okay, for me, I don't do the cancer, the treatment, so they would have to go to an oncologist and their primary care. So once you get the diagnosis, you get say if you go for a test, you do your colonoscopy test. Okay, your test is positive. You'll go into your primary care doctor who ordered the test, and they'll go over the treatment options. Like, okay, you've been, we see something suspicious. So another way, it's called a biopsy. So even though you might have showing that the test might show that there's possibly a cancer, the only true way to know that's cancer is to do a biopsy.
How do you approach delivering a cancer diagnosis to a patient?
Okay, well, how they, like I say, I don't do, normally like in that area, the primary care physician, they will get the test, get the results, and then they'll say go over. So the physician, I'm like a nurse, I'm a nurse with my doctor, so I work in that area. So the physician will go in and tell them, okay, your biopsy came back positive for basal cell. You can get skin cancer as well. So just say basal cell carcinoma, or you have cervical cancer. The oncologist, after doing what's called a Pap smear test, where they get the cells off the cervix, okay, it's coming back positive for cancer.
How do you balance giving patients hope while also being realistic?
The thing about it is you don't want to give false hope, but also I'm a praying person, so I always, lean on my spiritual side, but you also have to go to the scientific side. So when delivering the treatment plan, this what they'll normally tell you, like say with lung cancer, usually with lung cancer, you have a 3 to 5 year survivability rate. And, breast cancer, for each cancer, they have how long that you could live for, but that's not set in stone. So, you do tell them that what the science say, but then also, you be hopeful, you change change your diet, sleep patterns, and the treatments, and that can improve survival. I've seen people that had cancer and they told them they had 6 months to live and they're still alive. And then I had people that had cancer and they had, told them they had 6 months and they died within the next day. So it's kind of, it's just being realistic and telling what the statistics say, and then also just being encouraging. Like, this is what this.
What's a small everyday victory you remember that meant everything to a patient or family?
A small everyday victory is when just saying they were able to, if they weren't so sick they couldn't eat or they couldn't get up and walk, just a day where they felt their energy come back. Or, like I say, it affects your body image. So just, some days that you feel more better than others. So that's a victory. It's like a small victory. It's like, you see that small shimmer of hope and not giving up. So, and holding on and being positive. I've heard, cancer patients say that, I stayed positive. I thought positive. I thought that I was going to be healed. I thought that I was going to be well, and it worked for me. But then you heard some people like, I'm going to beat this, and they don't. So it's like, you really don't have a concrete set in stone thing, but people say that if they keep their attitude positive, they have a better outcome. So that's what gives me hope, is that, like this feasibility study that we're doing right now, that we're going to get to the bottom. The community wants answers. We've been, poisoned with water, the environment, lead, and all that kind of things. And so we know it's like, Art Woodson, he, rung the bell on this journey because, in his neighborhood, it's like, hey, everybody, you got cancer, you have cancer, you have cancer. What is the probability of so many people having cancer if it's not connected to genetics or the environment?
Do you have any last words to say?
You know what? I am honored to be honored for this interview. I'm honored to be a part of this cancer feasibility study. Cancer, and so this is, I hope it moves the needle in our community. And Flint, Michigan is at the forefront of finding out research, and Dr. Bailey, Dr. Helen, like I said, Art Woodson, and the whole team. We just look forward to getting out in the community and educating and helping to fight the good fight.